artificial intelligence is the intelligence that we articulated in a machine, the thinking process of humans, the rationale of a human, the critical analysis that a human mind can do in a much effective way and in a clever way that even humans cannot do. Because we know our mind has one great advantage. We can understand even our own limitations. The limitations of our thought process can be assessed by us. The limitations of our own organs we can assess. If we cannot hear properly, we understand it. Then we can use a hearing aid. If you cannot see properly, well, we understand the problem. We can use a pair of glasses and then you can see. And if you cannot lift a thing, earlier you would use lifting techniques and now you use huge elevators to lift things. By machines, you can lift things, which 100 people cannot lift a certain, material, but one single machine and one person just pressing, you can do it. These all are the machine capacities that we have developed. But here, what we are thinking or what we are speaking is about an intelligence where you need not order a special function to a machine. The machine knows the fundamentals which are fed to the machine, which are articulated. The way we think, what is right and wrong, there are very clear definitions in any given situation. In what medical situation, what is to be done, and the information is available to us, which may be modified, but this can be additionally provided to. So what is to be done at that situation? All this information can be provided, and thousands of different informations can be analyzed, evaluated, and the right decisions. What we normally say is that we evaluate and finally get into the correct decision by a rational evaluation. But more than us, more efficiently than us, sometimes an articulated machine can do it. Not only that it can do it, the technique of improving the knowledge base or information system of a machine can be also explained to a machine properly in its language, which means it can improve itself. And how, for example, what are the potential problems, how to solve it, how to get additional information, how to gather new information, how to reevaluate the analysis, everything can be done. If you ask your Siri in our iPhone, it will speak about the weather. Not only that it speaks about the weather, but also you can say that what's the driving situation there. It collects another information about the driving situation. It collects another information about the traffic situation. And it will give you immediately a suggestion which route you should go and which route you should not go. Normally you have to check at 5 different places. But what are the basic things that you may need while going to a place are all there, but the sources are different. So 25 different sources are to be looked into. In splinter seconds, these all are checked and the specific information is provided to you. Is one way of seeing it by information providing. The other way is, if it has to take a decision on that basis and further move things, self-deciding machines. That is what artificial intelligence is up to now. And what it means, banking is going to become very simple. For example, if you seek a loan, what are the criteria? So the criterion can be provided and all the information can be provided. There cannot be any human prejudice then functioning. Pre-decided orders, the rules are given, the information is additionally given, facts can be correlated and checked. Everything, earlier we would say in the fingertip, now everything is in 1,000 different positions, absorbed together, analyzed together. Not only that you get the decision, but you get the answers that you would otherwise need months to evaluate and analyze. The problem here is, it lacks only one thing, empathy and the humane feelings. But empathy has certain rules, by the way. What is empathy? On a certain given situation, how do you behave is what is deciding whether it is empathetic or not. You can go into the fine details, and empathy can be articulated on a machine. And what is humane behavior? What is respect to an individual? Everything can be defined and improved, and the fine details can be taken. And for example, if you have to talk to a person from Japan, what is the way of welcoming a person? What's the value system that this person? Everything can be in a machine. And if there are additional information coming up, if there are new rules coming, new values coming, everything can be absorbed, and it can grow by itself, and it can address things. So what will be the human role then? That's the biggest question. Artificial intelligence precisely is the explosion of the capacities that we are now going to give to our machines to make our life better and more efficient.
Okay, so before we move on for the next question, I would just request the people who are raising their hands, I will take up your questions or whatever you want to speak. I'll unmute you at the end of all the questions when I'm done with all of them. So, who are the beginners of this great new arena of modern computer science?
Well, it's not a new thing. You know, Alan Turing. Alan Turing, most of you must be knowing. Alan Turing was one of the founders of modern computer. Is Alan Turing. He has a very famous. He has made the theory of computation. That's where we all began with the new communication structures. Alan Turing has broken the codes of the Germans during the Second World War, and he has actually helped the Britishers to win the war because of his advanced knowledge about how communication patterns are evolved. But of course, Alan Turing personally, but that's also interesting to connect this the value system and the capacities of machines. Alan Turing, despite his great celebrity status, and this I have told many times earlier also, Alan Turing was accused of being homosexual. He had a friend. He was a gay, and his friend was a man. So he was accused of that. And at that time, in 1940s, this was considered a big crime or a mental ailment in many parts of the world, including Britain. In Britain at that time, if you are a homosexual or gay, you would get either imprisonment and losing your job, thereby losing your job, or you should volunteer yourself for chemical castration. Alan Turing went for chemical castration because he did not want to go to a jail. But that has damaged him mentally. He was thoroughly shocked, and he went into a kind of depression. And after some time, after some months, he has suicided. This is one important thing, because what is the law of those times? For example, now in Britain, gay rights are respected. And with the new understanding about gay rights and the sexual orientation of people, the monarch of Britain, the Queen, has apologized to Alan Turing. Britain has officially apologized. Of course, he died. At least after 5 decades, that was a symbolic thing. The value system changed. But imagine if you have a machine that decides the law at that time, which was fed the contemporary law of those time and the value system of those time to decide about things. Will that law be standing? Will that value system be standing at a different time? Will a machine be subjugated to the value system of those times? If imagine Saudi Arabia has artificial intelligence in their law implementation, they can also implement Sharia law with artificial intelligence. That's a limitation. So therefore, I'll come to those kind of issues later, but the history of artificial intelligence, it comes from there. And later, there are many philosophers of science. People not only are scientists, because most of the time scientists are not the people who take science forward. Some people who are not scientists, but who think about scientific attitude and the importance of science and science policies. Science policy making is formulated by discussions and ideas of people who are not just professional scientists, but who are philosophers of science. For example, Karl Popper was a philosopher of science. He, for example, developed an idea that evidence is not enough. some 70 years, 80 years back, when we want to articulate something, we've said, what is the evidence for that? That is the basic question any pro-science person would say. What's the evidence that you have? But that was something 70 years back. After Karl Popper, there is a new fundamental idea that the scientific attitude has got, which is known as falsification. It's not only some evidence is given, because evidence can be fabricated someday. This fabrication of evidence can be avoided only by falsification. Falsification means if somebody proves and establishes a law of science, you should be able to replicate it in a different format and with other things, and you should be able to prove that it is wrong. And if it is not wrong in different multiple tests, the falsification, then only it's truth. Not only that, it should be evidence-based, but it has to survive falsification efforts. That is, for example, that's a big contribution of Karl Popper in the understanding of the scientific attitude. Similarly, there are many people who have been working on the idea of artificial intelligence after the period of Alan Turing. And some of the people, the very, very important names are there. The cyberneticist Norbert Samuel is one of the founders of the idea of Alan Neville. Then there is Herbert Simon, John McCarthy, Marvin Minsky. These are the people who developed the fundamentals of artificial intelligence. So one has to also understand that from 1950s, the idea was there. It was developing. Computer was developing at one side, but the possibilities of shifting our thinking process, our analytical capacity to the computer or the machine was also the idea. But it's a different school altogether. It's not computer. It's beyond computer. You are using computer or the data processing system that computer has developed as a tool only. Here you are going a next step to the analytical capacity. The whole analytical rules can be provided by algorithms. For example, in nations' laws, all laws are defined. So it needs, if the laws are clearly written, it does not need any interpretation. Well, when there is an interpretation required, one would follow the previous verdict of the higher court if there is disputes on certain positions. So that can be, for example, take an example of a constitution, American constitution or American laws for crimes. What are the major verdicts? All this information, what it means, are also fed to the machine. And different norms, different situations, different states have different laws in on the same thing, all can be fed to a machine. So if somebody is accused of a crime, what's the crime? Here, a police officer's judgment is not required, or his personal evaluation or understanding, or his mind being applied, which can have prejudice, can be avoided by the machine evaluating and understanding the law and understanding the situation. And thousands of similar situations have been evaluated and studied earlier. Maybe all the cases ever went through any court can be all fed to the machine, and it will come with the right solution immediately. Courts, for example, the evidences can be fed, and the courts need not really do things. The facts could be simply analyzed, and the patterns can be decided. But something would be different. The whole idea was this expert said that the program is simulated the knowledge and analytical skills of human experts. But our expertise, can it be taken further forward than our own capacity? Can empathy and humaneness can be articulated to that? There is where artificial intelligence has been growing, and it took 2-3 different formats. One is known as will artificial intelligence will create a situation like a Frankenstein monster, that machines take over us, and humans are made as slaves or subjugated, and machines will order us what to do. Can it improve by itself? These kind of questions came from the very beginning, and so there are many stages for the development of artificial intelligence. And the latest, if you know People like Richard Stallman, the person, who is also an honorary associate of Rationalist International. Richard Stallman is the person behind the idea of a free software. But all this free software movement has been initiated by Richard Stallman and his friends. He has been studying in Boston and researching on artificial intelligence several decades back. So all these people have contributed to artificial intelligence. It's not one person, actually. Thousands of people at different places who are inspired by this idea, contributed at different places, and everything worked together. And at the end of the day, now we are very close to a situation that we can give to machines, teach all machines, all our laws, all our feelings, all our analytical rules, all our chemical rules, all our physical laws, everything that is available to the machine, and ask the machine to go further. There are 2-3 ways of handling it. One very latest position is, for example, if a machine can be given a task to identify, for example, in a war front, there are experts seeing the situation, analyzing the situation, and making the best decision on the basis of their understanding and their strategies. Imagine, still many possibilities are not seen, many things are not understood. There must be hidden things. But if everything is fed to a machine which can understand and analyze very fast before humans can study and analyze and decide on things and come to a conclusion, the optimal solution could be a fire attack or withdrawal or bombing. All these kind of things can be proposed by a machine much effectively than any human's thinking. About agriculture, it can decide. You can give information, all the available information, but the moment you give a situation that the additional knowledge and additional information that we gather and gain also can be gathered by these machines by itself and improve its capacity by its own and take qualitative decision on the basis of the optimum possible methods that it has to follow, there it advances one stage than human capacity. That's the danger many people are seeing, and that's also the possibility many people are seeing. The possibility is that every stage of development of technology, every stage of new development, people have been afraid. When the electricity came, a lot of people were afraid. When computers came, people were afraid. When mobile phones came, there is mobile phobia and radiation phobia and all these kind of things, and there is a fear about this development. So if you ask the question, who has developed it? It's a collective of people, thousands of people from everywhere in different universities, different laboratories, different centers. They all developed and they all work as a huge network to improve AI. Artificial intelligence is short called AI. Thank you.
So what are the future possibilities of artificial intelligence?
Yeah, one possibility is very simple. One good single possibility. If there is earlier, if a person's leg is amputated in a situation, earlier what we would do, the best method would be you would put an artificial leg and train the person to walk. One possibility. The new possibility came, there is a leg which can respond to your muscle movements and which can walk and move, or your hand is not there and you can use a hand. With small muscle movements, it can react. But imagine a situation that now the hand is moving on the basis of the wishes expressed by the brain and the suggestions given to it, understanding the situation, or by reflexes, either by conditioned reflex or natural reflexes. If it's touching fire or cold water, it withdraws immediately without thinking. That's a reflex. So there are many reasons how a hand can function. So these all can be, now this is done by a human being, but these all can be trained to an artificial hand, and it can suggest sometimes better ways to react. It can act by itself. A hand fixed on an amputated arm can, for example, decide in a better way than the brain can suggest. For example, if it goes in a different direction, it can sense things and it can move back, for example. Or now the body is, you need another leg to move. But there is a body balance that you are losing, that you cannot walk with one leg. So this can be trained to the body very fast with the help of artificial intelligence. It's one possibility. The possibilities are enormous, unbelievable. So what you have seen, for example, in the recent conflict between Palestine and Israel, the Iron Domes, that has been using artificial intelligence. The Iron Domes were responding to the missiles, searching heat and identifying its route. So even if it can have different speed and different altitudes, it can follow it, identify patterns very fast, and reach it, hit it at a place by sensing where it is less dangerous. It can hit it down, and then next moment it can regenerate itself to another missile and go to the source where it has been launched. The Rafael technology has helped it. So that is a way of using artificial intelligence. But that's in a warfare, in defense. But it also can be used, for example, in space travel. The understanding the enormous possibilities that human mind or our machines cannot normally reach. It can gather information. It can, analyze or evaluate information and make quick decisions than humans can take. In a flight, in a complicated situation, what will be the optimum decision? We are dependent on the pilot's decision at that moment. But we have thousands of examples, thousands of situations. All the situations can be analyzed, and what would be the optimum movement? If there is a storm coming, and how should we move? A pilot is trained to move in a certain way, and it's based on his wisdom, his common sense. But that may not be necessarily the best way to address that situation. One can make human errors or human understanding about the situation, the velocity of the speed, all these kind of things can be judged, and what will be the right decision to be taken at that right moment can be decided by an intelligent machine faster than a pilot. And it can do it. It can be entrusted to do it. So the possibilities are enormous. From space travel to our own travel, our food production. For example, when we advance much more, the food requirements can be understood. What should be the production line? What should be the supply line? Everything can be, distribution of food can be effectively done without human interference. If there is a method, for example, everybody speaks about great values of international cooperation and all these kind of things. But when it comes, there are prejudices and interests, vested interests, and everything works there. But if the principles are fed to a machine and which decides and which can channelize the whole thing, the influences of nations or the influences of prejudiced interests can be avoided if one comes to a regime. For example, if there is a law which is to be followed by all the nations, which is decided by United Nations, and if that can be decided, and everybody should agree that, it should be patterned as per artificial intelligence, and it should be done accordingly, whether it's implemented or not, need not be a worry, and how people implement things need not be a worry. It can be implemented in a way that there is no prejudice, no private influences, no vested interests working. But this is an ideal society. But the danger is it can be used for warfare also. It can be used for conflicts also. It can be used for human private advances against other people also. It can even be used for exploitation. That's the danger with any kind of new knowledge that we have.
So I have heard that many people are afraid of artificial intelligence. So is there an AI phobia?
That's a good question. There is an AI phobia. A lot of people are afraid. A lot of people are afraid of mobile phones. Not only that, many people are oversensitive. They cannot even think about. I know many people who, of our earlier generation, who are afraid to touch a touch screen. They want the heart machine to work with. That's the maximum they can cope up with. And now the advanced mobile phones are scary for a lot of people. But that's when the new technology comes, a new way of doing things come. A lot of people will be scared. But that's not matter, because that doesn't influence the process of it. There is a phobia. There is a phobia about mobile radiation. We know that mobile radiation is so minimal that it's not even, it cannot be even compared to the radiation that you have when you use electricity in your home. But still there is a phobia about that. There are a lot of phobias all around about everything practically. There is a phobia, also reality. For example, banking, for example, when it comes to uh, in my young days, and I remember that if you want to know your bank balance, you have to go to the bank before 2 o'clock and ask the counter whether the checks have cleared and I mean, what is the balance. And when it came, I still remember that you can go to the bank and there is a screen and where you can touch with your username and password, you can get the information. And now you can all do it on a mobile phone. Every banking is done in the mobile phone. But still there is a danger. Those people who are not familiar with these ideas can be trapped by people who are clever people, and there are a lot of phishing happening in the computer banking. Those dangers are there. People have to be educated. That's the only way. The phobia is that there is a phobia for everything that is new. That is one thing. There is a potential danger of all these kind of things being misused by people who are not familiar with things. These dangers are there for everything. The only way is getting people equipped, getting people educated, and enough check and balances are made that others' information, others' data, and other information cannot be misused by people. There should be check and balances. And that is one of the major questions that we will come with the problems of artificial intelligence. But the phobia is a reality. Half the population, if you ask, they would be so afraid of artificial intelligence. Even, I mean, auto-driven cars, people are so afraid. I know a lot of people who say that I won't sit in such a car. I mean, I would be afraid. But that would be safer than a real driver who can make mistakes. And the intelligent machine that drives the car will not make a mistake. It will stop automatically when there is a danger. It can move away from a potential danger, and the accidents would come dramatically down, is well known. All the tests have proven it, but still there is fear about these ideas even before it is coming into real practice. There is phobia against any kind of technophobia, and the 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 the, the phobia about anything that is coming new, that is there everywhere, every time you have that. But you have to overcome that. If you have to progress, you have to come out from all these kind of fears, and you have to go forward and educate those people and make check and balances. That's the only way.
So, what are the real ethical issues and concerns about artificial intelligence?
Well, that's simple examples I can tell you. For example, a bank has to decide about a housing loan. So, a young man, I mean, started earning, and he wants to go for a mortgage for a housing loan. Now, there are prejudices. For example, the Black American community generally say that they are disprivileged in such situations. There are different laws. There is only one law officially, but when it is implemented, there are the privileged people are treated in a different way. Rightly or wrongly, there's a complaint like that. In India, certain area, many people say that we are disprivileged. Certain supporters of certain political movement would say we are disprivileged. Certain castes, certain religions sometimes would say that they are disprivileged. Genders would say that they are disprivileged. So whether you are privileged or disprivileged is a major question everywhere. I mean, I said an example of a mortgage a young man wants to have for a house. For anything, go to the example of banking or employment. If you want to get an employment, who is to be employed normally? Anywhere in the world, there should be a criterion to be followed. This criterion is to be followed, and if all the conditions, all criteria are correct, then there are apt persons selected, then there may be an interview, and then they are selected. But there are so many cases everywhere in the world that there are manipulations, nepotism, private interests, and privileges given to their own people. This can be addressed easily with artificial intelligence. If there are clear rules, and with all fine details, what are the conditions, and if the applicants are putting in information, if there are ways to check whether this information, for example, somebody says that I have a master's in this subject with this percentage of mark, but if the university information is accessible, in splinter second, it will check everywhere. All the claims that is made are checked in splinter seconds, and all information are cross-verified, and the information is here. Then what are the requirements that you have? It's all defined. And how it is to be calculated, it's defined. So you can very clearly, in splinter seconds, you can decide who is the right candidate. And there is no private interest or no what you call nepotism or privilege given to a person whom you like is possible. Job opportunities, because job is something that is limited, especially higher jobs are limited. Everywhere there is underemployment and unemployment in the world, and there are more will be coming because all these machines are going to make a lot of people unemployed. It's another side, I tell you about that. But here, if you apply for a job, who is the right person can be decided, and what is the best person for the company can be decided if the conditions are very clear by the use of artificial intelligence. The right decisions can be arrived at. Banking is one example only, I said. But another possibility, so these dangers can be avoided by that. And another possibility is, for example, in a crisis situation regarding food. If food is not available, food distribution is in trouble in one place. What all, immediately, if the artificial intelligence is used to get the solution, what's the optimum solution? So immediately it will see which all food corporations have storage of food which is available. What will be the logistic patterns available to us? And how you can transport this stuff? And what will be the cost involved? What's the time involved? The whole logistics can be immediately, everything can be calculated in splinter seconds and everything can be evaluated and the optimum decision can be arrived in splinter seconds. And you have to just do it only, provide it only. So this is going to be very fast for a lot of things. Problems can be solved very effectively if artificial intelligence come into full being. And the question of the real possibilities, our lives are going to be very, very different. I read very interesting articles about how you eat can be judged. When you eat, some people like only meat-based food. They don't like vegetables, for example. So when you eat a certain food, what kind of feelings are expressed? What kind of emotions are expressed in you can be monitored easily. And if you decide for a special food only, and then what is lacking in you can be immediately understood. So for example, a small watch on your hand now, for example, can analyze your sleep and tell you how much sleep you have. This is very popular. It's all well known. What's the blood pressure you have, everything the Apple Watch, for example, would tell you. But it can also understand your eating habits. What are your requirements in your body when a certain food is not there? And what is the kind of taste that you have? And what food is there available, which is closer to this taste, but which would fill the vitamin or other enzyme requirement that you have can be identified and told you and tell you. So food production chains can be immediately alerted on this kind of information. So your own family can be alerted immediately about what kind of food is available and what is good for you and what is lacking, everything. Human health can be controlled so heavily. Any kind of pandemic, for example, if there is an international network of persons and their health through artificial intelligence, any information about our health is simply interlinked and understood, and all possible solutions anywhere in the world can be transformed to you and can be made available to you. In the logistics can be checked and it can be made available. So all these possibilities are there, but there is a big challenge. Your private information is in domains that many people would not like, because privacy is another factor. The questions are connected with our new value system. Our new value systems, one of the most important position is connected with the individual privacy. Can an internet provider get information about what sites you are searching and what food you are looking into the food shop on internet and suggest you what all food you have to buy? Many people say that they should not do it. It's my freedom, my choice, and my privacy is my privacy. Nobody should know it. Nobody has a right to see what I am searching. And no parent, children would say, no parent has a right to see what I'm searching on my phone. That's an advance, that's a primary thing, but it's still advanced. The privacy of the individual. That's why in the European Union, for example, any website, when you go, you have to agree that some cookies are allowed. For example, your location probably is needed to provide in what language you should see. If they have 25 languages available, if somebody is reaching the internet from France, he should get French. So that needs an information about your location, but that's your privacy. So you have to agree that your privacy regarding your location is allowed. Then only you get that website. That's the level of privacy that's coming up in all of the world. But this privacy, there's a conflict between the advancement of artificial intelligence and privacy issues. That's one major conflict, of real value conflict. Another major issue is, can this information, because it needs networking of all information to make the optimum decision or suggestion, is one possibility of artificial intelligence. But can all this information be misutilized by, well, this is an ideal situation that everything is connected well and everything is logistically explored, and the possibilities are given to everybody, is an ideal situation. But human nature has a lot of other things. Power mongering is there. There are ideologies that want to implement on other people by force, not only by persuasion, but by force, by power, by sword, by weapons. Can these people, if they get in control of artificial intelligence, can it be misutilized? Or despots, political authorities who have ruthless political authorities who don't mind whatever happens or what value system is challenged, but they have to remain in power. Can they misutilize this? These are the dangers. The third danger, which is, I said, one major danger, this despots and wicked minds trying to misuse it, is one possibility for everything practically. So for that, one has to make checks and balances. When you developed a system, for example, mobile phones when developed, many people were afraid that this could be used widely for crime because people are on the move and they are using phones and they cannot be traced. No, it's not correct. Now we know that that's one of the best ways to locate a person, because your locality, under which tower you are in, can be identified very fast, and most of the crimes are located on the basis of the mobile phone use. Or when computers came, people are sitting in private rooms and they're reaching all around the world. What all wicked things they can do? No, it's not possible. Every computer has a code, an identity. There are forensic ways to simply identify from which computer, precisely from which computer this information has originated from. Even if it passed 25 different forwarding, one can trace it back precisely to the original source. See, that's a check and balance that we developed. Similarly, for artificial intelligence, of course, when it develops further and when we are going to explore its future possibilities, there can be a lot of dangers and there can be a lot of potential dangers that we have not foreseen now, but eventually we will develop checks and balances to counter it. But still, the three dangers: despots misusing it, individual privacy at jeopardy. That's another major question. The second question, people who are not familiar with new technology, they will be a kind of techno-illiterate people. Because people who see now, for example, now there are people, the computer literacy, if you do not have computer literacy, you are not a privileged person. The moment you have computer and mobile phone at your disposal and when you know how to use it, you are immediately a privileged person. And those people who cannot use, who are not attuned with these things, are out of a lot of things. There are two classes of people. So when there is a new technology comes and it's going to overswap everything. It's going to dominate the whole scene. Like mobile phones came, 15, 20 years back, and how fast things moved. When internet came 30, 45 years back, faxes came and faxes were just in circulation. All the fax machines vanished. The telegraph departments closed everywhere. Many countries had very big telegraph departments. telephone and telegram departments where thousands and thousands of people worked, and everything closed down. Technology changes everything. Any kind of new changes are going to change the whole structures. And of course, artificial intelligence is the thing for tomorrow. And that's what is going to change the world. And if you are out of artificial intelligence, you are going to be underprivileged. You are going to be illiterate. So this illiteracy question would come. It's not alphabets now. It's not mobile phones now. It's not computers now. The next illiteracy question, the social division is going to come. Are you okay with artificial intelligence or not? That's going to be the next one. That's going to be the next big wave, the next tsunami. So are we ready to take it up? That's the whole question. I would say my strong submission here is we have to be equipped with artificial intelligence. We have to understand what is artificial intelligence. We have to understand how exactly it is functioning. And we have to understand how to use it. We have to respond to it. Get savvy to artificial intelligence. That's the end thing for tomorrow. And that's the only way to get in tune with the big changes that are going to come in the coming days.
So you said about the ethical issues the artificial intelligence regime has to address. Do you have any proposals to resolve them?
Well, one of the major proposals I would have to resolve the ethical issues would be like, for example, people should have to agree what level of privacy breaching they would accept. People should be able to opt out from things. For example, if my data is to be verified or it should be open to people, you should be able to decide. If a person does not want all this information at the public domain, though whether it's not individuals are not handling it, that's a big difference. Earlier, when all our informations are, in the custody of huge corporations and companies, these are in the custody of people with plans. But if the methods of the usage of artificial intelligence is decided, pre-structured, like what we said about the internets are being wherever you are there, you can identify the computer. Wherever you're going with a mobile phone, you can identify which tower you are speaking. Similarly, artificial intelligence also will have a lot of methods to restrain its misuse, but all the same, people should be able to opt out if they want. If I don't want my information to be stored somewhere, and no matter whether it's a person or a machine, I don't want it. I don't want my fingerprints given anywhere. Well, I can do that. Then I may not be able to travel easily, but I can decide that. I can decide that my picture is not to be put anywhere. Many people can decide it. People should be able to decide for themselves. At the end of the day, the private freedom of the individual to decide for himself or herself. It's so important. Whatsoever technology comes, that's another thing. Technology develops at another side. Our value system is evolving very powerfully at another side. It is taking another huge leap forward. Value system is going away from earlier, people could decide for others. Now, every single individual has to decide for oneself, and the future and life and the patterns of life, everything is decided by the individual. The potential possibilities and dangers, for example, another interesting possibility that I recently read an article. For example, human sexuality is connected with more than one person, 2 persons should be there. Well, one need not be, there be 2 persons also, but it needs a physical action. But with artificial intelligence, we can overcome that. What's the exact section of neurons that are triggered to have a sexual feeling? You can stimulate that precisely that part of your brain, and you get the experience. That can be identified. And your precise taste of sex can be identified. Not by you telling, but you allowing the machine to follow your actions. And that can be decided, that can be identified, and then you can ask the machine to find the optimum level of enjoyment, which can be triggered. You put an earphone kind of thing, and it can simply beam to your right neurons and trigger the feeling that you have. Well, that's not imaginable at this moment, but theoretically speaking, it's possible. So what does that mean? The present family system based on individual attraction, mutual attraction is the key of family. From there it begins. That can be the way. Reproduction, reproduction will number of children coming out would reduce dramatically. In any case, any advanced society, the reproduction is going down, and it is going to go down, and the life expectancy is also going up. The healthy life expectancy is going up and up at one side. So therefore, sexuality can transform into a different form that can end the present family system, a potential danger. How to address that? Well, families have been different earlier. That has transformed. And in another 100 years, if you transform in a different way, well, you can choose still what you want. But things could change. Everything could change. It can, the way you enjoy any food, you need not take the food, but you can still have the food, the same taste. So these all are possible by the connecting with our neurons the skills of artificial intelligence. You can have a super brain with the additional capacities triggered, from your own interest and identified, and you can enhance the capacities of your brain in a very different way. Another possibility of artificial intelligence. It's a danger. Some people can say, well, nothing can stop things. If things come, if people want it and people enjoy it and people find it good, it will all come. So the only thing is that's where I say that those people who do not want should have an opportunity to opt out from your information. So you are using artificial intelligence. Like if you don't want to use mobile phones, who is there to force you to use mobile phone? Similarly, if you don't want to become part of the big revolution that's going to happen with artificial intelligence, well, you can opt out. That freedom should be there. Secondly, my privacy should be controlled. There should be regulation. So there should be regimentation. There should be an international regimentation that should control any kind of artificial intelligence use on certain fundamental system. Like values. We have a universal declaration of values now. United Nations have agreed. And anywhere there is a violation, many nations don't follow it. Still, we have a yardstick to say that, look, what you have done is not fitting to the International Universal Declaration of Human Rights. You have a yardstick. Similarly, you can have yardsticks made to make it more humane, because there is no humaneness in artificial intelligence. It's absolute rationality and absolute scientific positioning. But can we articulate humaneness? That's another interesting question. The fundamental principle of humaneness, empathy, kindness, everything are based on certain principles. The behavior patterns, response are identified. You can identify a million ways to express what is empathy. And all this information can be provided to the machine. So empathetic behavior and human behavior also can be articulated to a machine. So it's going to be a big change that transforms what humans are now. That's going to happen in the coming century.
All right, so I'm done with the questions now. Now I request the other participants to ask their questions, and like always, I would request you to be precise and to the point with the questions you want to ask. I can see Jesse George raising his hand. Please unmute yourself.
It's great to. It's very nice to hear about artificial intelligence, and it is science growing and all. It's very good. But what will be the India-like country? The unemployment is already there, and it is going to increase with this. Of course, it's a scientific thing. It has to grow. It is the development. Everything is there. But what about the unemployment, and what will be the solution? What is your suggestion? Thanks.
That's a very good question, Jesse. Very good question. Employment should, in the coming years, I'm very clear about that. Employment is not going to be the base for getting your livelihood. It should be detached. It should be separated. And it is getting separated in many parts of the world now, because to have your livelihood, now imagine, what kind of dramatic situation that you have. If you are a normal animal living in a forest, for your livelihood, you don't have to work 8-9 hours. The best life possible for any animal, for a deer or anything, is there in the natural habitat. No other species works systematically all throughout the year, the whole daytime, for working to get a job, to do the job, to get their livelihood, get a normal life. Still, many people are not getting. Even if you have a job, you are not satisfied. You don't get everything. You don't get the right food. You don't get the right dress. No, it's not possible. It's so. Therefore, at the end of the day, you have to find a way to detach work and your good quality life, because we have developed ways over the centuries. The food production, we produce more than 2 times food that is required by the whole people in the world. It's not distributed properly. In Africa, more than 50% of the whole food production is going waste because there is no warehousing and there is no logistic ways to distribute the food produced. It's just going waste. And in many places, food is produced, it cannot be stored further, and it's put down in the sea because you need production. There is overproduction in many places. Tomatoes are produced, then you cannot use it. So these kind of our production capacity, agriculture production capacity has enhanced very heavily. Despite the huge explosion of population, we have enormous production now. But why people are still hungry? Why people are malnutritious? That's the serious question. Is it connected with job? It's not connected with job. It's linked with job. It's linked with the employment. Then you can have money. Then only you can buy food. That's a chain. If there are people with money to buy food, all the international chains will come and open your shops there. But if you don't have money, if you don't have a job, if the people there don't have job, if there are no factories, if there are no offices, there is no job, then you don't have real money, then no international chain is going to bring their food shop in your place. So it's connected with your money. So, but should people struggle in connection with their work to have their food? If food is detached from the work, the basic fear of unemployment is connected with how do I live? Of course, the other questions, the dignity and other things are there. That I come to that. But the mundane ground reality is, how would I live if I don't have an employment? But unemployment is connected to their livelihood. That has to be detached. That's a solution. So in India, it is not like that. Even if you have an employment, you must be underemployed sometime. Still, you may not be able to buy the kind of house that you would like to have. You may not be able to buy the kind of food that you would like to have. It's possible only for a privileged, rich few people. Why it is so? We are producing enormous amount of food grains. Now there is a distribution system the below poverty line people are getting some food distributed. In Sudan, people are dying with hunger and there is no food distributed. In certain areas there is hunger. In Eritrea, in Ethiopia, in Somalia, there is hunger. But in other parts of the world, there is excess food, storable food. Grains are produced, and still we can produce more. Still, it's not available. There should be a way, there should be an international regime to distribute food. Food should not be the war point. That should not be the bargaining point for any kind of thing. People should be able to work for well-being, for the betterment. But the fundamental needs, like food, like the basic living money, should be available to people without even employment. If a situation comes in that way only, this can be addressed. That is why, for example, if you take the situation in European Union, nobody is practically hungry. Unemployment is not people have problems of dignity, and they want employment to have a dignified life. But people are comparatively happy even if they don't have employment. Why? Because if you are unemployed, you are given a basic amount by the government to survive. Not big money, the basic survival. And even if you don't have a housing, some basic money is given to get the basic housing. That's possible because there is an equitable distribution system there. In India, we have some fundamental issues like the explosion of population. But despite this explosion of population, we have production of enormous quantity of grains. Why it's not distributed to people? Why it can't be simply given to people to their requirement? Why governments can purchase all these food products and redistribute to people? Why should people worry about unemployment? Because if you think about employment in the industrial revolution times, that people have to go and work for certain hours and bring back, sitting in the evening, buying their food and all that kind of things are going away. In the coming years, there are more and more jobs are going to be from your home. People will have more leisure, and that's a new life coming up. One need not probably working the way people used to work earlier. This kind of new working culture would come. But the fundamental issue is governments should realize that people should have a right to live, right to have a basic living quality, even if they don't have a work. But if they work, they can have a higher quality of life. That should be the pattern. And that can be addressed only by redistribution patterns of the fundamental necessities of people. And that is what is, I mean, many of the countries, the idea of welfare state, which is developing everywhere. India is also by principle has agreed to that. That's why the old age pension and all these kind of things are coming up now. So people, for example, people who have entrepreneurial skills, they should be encouraged to do things, new innovations, new ideas. Startups should be promoted, and they should be given money to do things, not for working all the time to eat some food. That should not be there, and that should be available for everybody without any complication. And otherwise, what is the whole civilization and what is the whole scientific advancement that we have made in food production and technology and all these kind of things? I mean, I have a very radical idea about this. I mean, of course, it's not only my idea. A lot of people have expressed this view that fundamental necessities of people. It's not like the idea of communists used to say. They have a different idea of their idea is the means of production should be owned by the state collectively. That's the idea. That won't work. That we have seen. The problem there is, I mean, there won't be any desire to do better things. People should have to have desire to produce things. Then only they would produce. And if they struggle for their basic survival, they cannot articulate their desire to do better things. If they don't have to think about food, the basic survival is there, then they will have greater desire to do things. And that's how societies improve. That's how things should go forward. Or people should not be afraid about their old age. That should be taken care of. By a state. And I mean, even if money is given free to elder people, what is wrong in that? Because the money is spent again. Money is in circulation. The economy is growing only with that. Money is not going anywhere. I mean, it's remaining there and people are buying, and then productivity, the buying power, and only would be growing only with that. My idea about this can be addressed. If unemployment is a question that we are addressing, unemployment is going to be more and more everywhere in the world in the coming years. It cannot be reduced. You cannot provide employment to all this population. Employment need not be connected to good living. That's the solution.
Thank you.
Due to some unavoidable situation, I will have to leave right now, but I'll just unmute the next person, and I think we can carry on with the meeting then.
Yeah, carry on with the events that you have to attend. I will take care of the rest.
Okay, thank you.
So what are the other questions now? Dipu Augustine, you have raised your hand.
Hi, Dr. Sanal. I've just been following your Facebook also a bit. But I was just thinking, like, overall throughout your speech, I just noticed that like it seems that everything you suggested has got a selfish kind of motive a little bit, because if you look at that's not a wrong thing. I think there's a selfish gene written by Richard Dawkins, which I haven't gone through, but still it just seems AI, self-driving cars, and what else? We talked about a lot of technology to make life easier, and food for people, entrepreneurship, money. All these things seem to support people who are old-aged. I don't know if this is a generalization I'm making that's wrong, but it seems to support old-age people who these technologies seem to make their life easier, and like money for business. Whereas healthcare for young people, it's like AI can only go so far in terms of surgery or all those kind of things. So that's what I was wondering. Overall, it seemed like I'm not making an accusation as such, because everyone does
selfish.
A lot of things for selfishly, obviously. Probably I'm saying this. Yeah, obviously I'm saying this for many selfish reasons. My health is not so good, so maybe that's why. So I just found that we could use this software technology that India has for creating a database like in Canada and all, where you have a card and healthcare, you provide healthcare to people, the rest will fall into place. Instead of doing it the top-down approach, a bottom-up approach, I guess, where you invest in health and people will take care of the rest.
Ibu Augustine, I mean, if you said that my ideas that I expressed shown a kind of selfishness, I mean, well, there is selfishness. I would not deny that, but it's not my personal selfishness. Selfishness in the interest of well-being of all those people involved. I am selfish. And I would like that everybody should be selfish for themselves. We do not have that kind of selfishness. If that's I'm not selfishness, it should not be greed. Don't mix up these two things. Selfish means everyone wants to survive. That's the fundamental selfishness. And every species, every animal wants to survive. The whole reproduction structure is connected with the spirit of survival. That's selfishness. And that is, what you mentioned about Richard Dawkins' selfish gene. And you said also that you didn't read it. But if you read that book, you understand that it speaks about the spirit of all species to survive. And the spirit, and that's the fundamental urge in a species. Okay. So now coming to the issues. Using software is something, and using artificial intelligence is some other thing. Because if you speak that using machines, for example, mechanization, if you speak about mechanization, you see, after Industrial Revolution, the biggest question was whether we should mechanize everything or not, whether you should use the machines to do things. It has increased our production. Of course, it has brought in a lot of other problems also. The exploitation of the industrial world has come after that. I mean, before that, we didn't hear about that kind of an exploitation. There was feudal exploitation earlier, but a new kind of exploitation emerged. So, but it has changed the world. At that time, the question was whether we should mechanize or not. Using software or not was a question 50 years back. We're already using. In India, if you're speaking about India as an example, India is using software. I mean, all this information is fed. So everything is, India's level of advancement on software management on the information base is something amazing to the whole world. Many people do not know it. We are the masters of software. And also the people who are connected with software, if you go anywhere in the world, go to Germany, go to Sweden, come to Finland, anywhere, Indian software people are working there. And we are a kind of magic software people. And we have advanced a lot in software. People are, nobody looks down upon an Indian in any Western country. The primary question anybody would ask is, are you a software person? That's the first question anybody would ask about an Indian. Earlier, one would ask, are you a doctor? Are you a medical person? Are you a nurse? I mean, that would be the question earlier in Germany and United States and all. Now, any youngster you see anywhere in Europe, anywhere in other parts of the world, they will ask, are you a software person? So we are not backward in software, number one. The only thing is that we have a distribution problem in India. We have production. We have a socio-political structure in India, which is coming from very past times. It's not that, we don't produce food. It's not that we don't have a modern democratic system. But the implementation of the system has a lot of problem, which is constrained by our traditions, our old values, our, old values that are following us, the kind of caste system and the rural, social divisions. These all are following us. Many people cannot come out of that. Because of how and why? Because they have been oppressed for a long time. Not only by caste, socially, by geographical area. In a different ways, people are deprived. Because it's a huge continent and which has been exploited by the Western powers for more than 200 years. India's per capita wealth was much higher, 300 times more than when the Britishers came. And when they left, it was just nothing. So every natural resource was taken away from us. There was no distribution of wealth anywhere in India. It was an exploited land. So we have to restructure a lot of things, and we have a lot of problems therefore. So that doesn't mean that we have not, there is a big division in India. The division is not the rich and poor, I would say. The division is between the people who have know-how and people who do not have the know-how. That's the problem. Because most of our problems can be solved when you have the right know-how how to handle it. So it's not only education, but to understand how the mechanism, the social mechanism and the political mechanism and the system works. So for example, if people are afraid to start an entrepreneurship, they think about their karma. They think that, this is something they cannot do. Startups are promoted in India, but not much people are taking it up. And why? Still, we are thinking about software updating and software information distribution. We have, medical centers in different parts of most of the states. The COVID vaccination, of course, the vaccine distribution and all, that's a different question. But I know for myself that in Uttar Pradesh, in many places, vaccines are available, but people are not going for vaccination because they don't have the access to the know-how, how it functions, how you can be benefited by it. Or somebody is affected by coronavirus, the families don't allow the person to enter the house, and the person dies a pathetic death or on the courtyard. These kind of things are coming because of lack of our knowledge about things, the know-how, the medical know-how, the technical know-how, the information know-how. That's where we need a great revolution in India. Artificial intelligence, whether we want it or not, it's coming. And you cannot stop it. It's transforming the entire world. The whole communication system is going away from old software structures, and that is only information providing basics now. It's going to be networked by artificial intelligence. Whether you want it or not, it's going to be like that. Everything is networked. Everything is connected. Everything is articulated. And logistics are not human problem anymore. It's going to be centralized and controlled with the information provided to it in a very different way. Therefore, if you think that that will be inhuman and that will take away jobs, or that will speak for the privileged people and for the elder people, the younger people and elder people. I speak about elder people because elder people are a serious problem everywhere, because the life expectancy is really growing everywhere, including in India. It's growing. Younger people, of course, that is addressed, that is not kept away. But addressing the life of the elder people is a major thing. That is the concern of most of the nations in the world now. Because everywhere, the elder people, the number of elder people are much more than the number of younger people. In India, it's different. We have more younger people because the population is growing and the growth rate even is growing. But their problem can be addressed by getting them equipped, getting them the know-how. But that is why I said, for example, employment should not be the criterion, because you cannot provide employment for all this population. Things are getting easy. You cannot go back and say that, well, I don't want machines. I would do things, I go back to nature and do everything so that everybody work and work and work so that we produce some food. We don't need to do that. Everybody need not work to produce food. That's what I was telling earlier also. Nobody needs everybody's work anymore. Because 1,000 people, what we have been doing, 1,000 software engineers have been working earlier, and which can be handled by one artificial intelligence program. Now 1,000 people have been working, and one machine came and took that job. The mechanization, industrialization. Now 1,000 machines have been doing, then these machines have been controlled by software programs, computer programs, and things have changed. Now these software programs are going to make a big network. And the information collected is going to be a big network, and solutions are going to be organized in a very big way. The idea of logistics is going to change, that it's humans to organize things, that we are getting the optimum information for everything. Youngsters or elder people apart, everything will be taken care of. And I would say that food production being optimum now, and the distribution system should be able, and people should not be depending on their job to get good food and good health and medical care. That should be available for everybody at a very affordable cost or no cost. And they should be able to do better things for making their life better. And if that's selfish, then that selfishness is what we all need.
So yeah, I was listening to. I had a few comments on this. One, on the unemployment. Someone raised that it will increase unemployment, and that's a myth. Actually, you see the I remember in my childhood, computers are coming for a long time. It was being said, and the left wing used to, always mm, especially from West Bengal, they used to say that no, computers are not should not be there, and they will increase unemployment and all. But nothing, employment rate didn't increase because of computers. In fact, computers help ease lives. Not only, I think there is a general phobia, neophobia, phobia of new things called neophobia, especially amongst the leftists. Now we have seen this in GMOs. GMOs we see a lot, genetically modified organisms, food like golden rice. Now golden rice is available in Bangladesh, fortunately, but in India it's still not widely available. It's something fortified with vitamin A, which is needed by Indians a lot. So what I'm saying is that unemployment, because there is an artificial intelligence will come in, unemployment will not go up. There will be new types of employments that will come in, and there would be more free time for people. And let's understand one thing on this, that the machines are not going to eat the food that they produce for us. I mean, we will have to eat it. So saying that people are unemployed, even if they're employed, the food would be much more produced. And as you also saying that some people can relax and do nothing and be fed. Well, that's the scenario that would eventually come in as machines take over a lot of jobs from us. Yeah, and one more comment I had, on selfish gene. Someone raised the selfish gene. Richard Dawkins has not used the word selfish in the human sense of selfish. He's used it in a very, very different, in a more metaphorical way. It's not that the genes are thinking to be selfish, but the effects to us seem to be selfish. It's actually something that the natural selection drives it. The Darwinian natural selection is driving it.
Okay, thank you very much, David. So I think I never said that machines would take away jobs. I mean, that's not what I said.
No, someone was saying unemployment would increase.
Okay.
So I was responding to that. You're the first person who questioned that.
Okay, thank you.
I was saying, yeah. So I said,
and that's not my position. I always think that I'm
change,
and I'm for
you said that people can be unemployed and still be fed.
Yeah. So what I mean to say is that's something I've been always nursing this idea, because there are not much work required now for better. For example, take the example of Finland. Earlier, people have been working 12 hours everywhere in the world. Then there have been an effort to bring it down to 8 hours. It was enough. Okay. Now, in many countries in Scandinavia, people are working only 5 days.
Yeah.
And that's enough. Still, one can be relaxed at work. They don't have to bull work.
4.5, I think.
Yeah, the productivity goes up when you have more leisure. That's the whole idea. The life has to be enjoyed. That's the kind of feeling. Why? Because we don't need this kind of exertion for productivity. The productivity has changed. What human capacities needed to exert has changed. From Industrial Revolution, there is a big change. Machines have taken over a lot of work. I mean, the time has reduced. Still, there was huge exploitation. But computers have dramatically changed our life. Now, with the new artificial intelligence coming, we would need less and less time. One of the ways to address unemployment, because unemployment is another question where people don't have to do things, and it can create a kind of vacuum in the mindset of many people. Therefore, giving a job for people, many people want a job. One of the ways that many countries think is, okay, come on, why should all these people work all these hours? You produce better things if you work less. Why not 4 days? And I mean, why allow people, people are allowed to retire very early if they want. And what is retirement for people? Retirement means that you get a certain pension, guaranteed pension, once you reach a certain age. Then you are allowed to retire. It's your option. You're allowed to retire, then you get still the money, your pension you would get, and you can enjoy your life so thoroughly, so that other people who are interested to do with the new ideas, young people coming up, and they can do things. And well, they have done that. They think that they have done enough, and they would like to do something more interesting for them. Which is not working for others. That is encouraged in many other countries. So this idea of kind of employment, is also changing. People are not in many countries. People are working 6 hours or more hours. But in many other countries, one has to see that the working hours are getting reduced. Still, productivity is not affected. People are more productive when they have more leisure. When they get good food, happiness, and more enjoyment, they're more productive, they're more intelligent, they're responding to things very well. And fear of technology, any kind of technology is there everywhere. That is not only on, that's why I said even mobile phone was such a big scare for a lot of people. Those people who are afraid of things, they should be allowed to go back. Remain with what they want, nobody should force them. But coming to the genetical modification of food, I fully agree to the idea of genetical modification of food. And because all the food that we have, most of the food that we have are all genetically modified. We don't say it. Even our cauliflower, it did not exist earlier. It was a genetically modified food product. It's articulated in the laboratories. And most of the seeds and everything is modified. But there are two kinds of phobias about genetically modified food. One kind of people are so afraid that they think that, cancer is coming because of GM food. But it is only with GM that we could change the big problem with food production. That has changed. The seeds have improved. Everywhere we have improved the quality of the seeds, the reproductivity of the foods, and then the productivity has changed because of GM activity only. But there is one, every development should have checks and balances, because we see problems. For example, one problem that we realize with the GM misuse is certain companies making terminator seeds. For example, Monsanto was selling seeds which has high productivity, but we have seen that it has a chain reaction in the social structures. Therefore, even in many parts of USA, it has a control on that. But what they did is high productive seeds. If these seeds can be used as seeds again, traditionally farmers use the same seeds to reproduce. But most of these genetically modified seeds, the second and third, the productivity will go down. You have to go for the original seed. But Monsanto made seeds which is perfectly terminatable things. Means it produces only once. The seeds are not producing new plants. You have to buy again. That was a huge corporate exploitation. So that is why, any kind of system will have, profit is one of the major desires. There's nothing wrong in that. That's a motivating drive of the whole global development from all times. Trading was one of the biggest things that developed the world. And what was the motivation? Profit. That is there. But it had checks and balances those times also. It should have checks and balances now also, in the best interest of the humanity. So therefore, genetically modified food is important to improve the quality of food, or, for example, or reaching out with the malnutrition, addressing malnutrition and all. That would be a wonderful idea to handle it. The fear of GM is very big also. More than India, for example, in Europe, so many people are afraid of GM foods. So you go to any store in Europe, you can find sections with the non-GM foods. You can find organic food. Well, that has a market also. Some people are afraid of genetically modified food. You can have it. If you don't want genetically modified food, of course, you can have the other option also. You have a choice. Nobody is forcing you. But majority of the people go for the, modified, better quality food. Some people insist for non-genetically modified food, and they go for it. Some people want organic food. Let them go for it. That option should be there also. People's choice. I would say that in India, one of the major methods that we can articulate to address malnutrition could be genetically modified vegetables. That's one of the ways that we can do. It has been done successfully In Germany, it has been done successfully. Of course, there is a lot of opposition in Germany about that, but it has been successfully done in many countries in the world, in many developed countries in the world. But coming back to artificial intelligence, it can, of course, my judgment is it can reduce the necessity of conventional jobs. The necessity of jobs can transform into different things later. I don't say that. I mean, people would find interesting things. People are creative. They would go with their own ways to understand and make use of the whole thing. And entertainment will grow further because there will be more possibility of entertainment. There will be more and more jobs in the field of entertainment. So nothing will be stopping anywhere. People will be celebrating their life more and more in the coming years. And that's what this technology is going to bring us.
Got it. Good
Yeah.
evening, Dr. Sanal and all other friends. I want artificial as much as we can get. I am all for it. Okay. I'm a beneficiary of artificial intelligence. You know how it is. You all know we have systemic racism exists here. I explain how it is. Okay. In my workplace, I look like you all. I'm an Indian. Okay. But I don't look like some people over here. I look different. Okay. So our race every year was 6%, 4.4% to 6%. Certain category only people got like 4.5 and 5%. The maximum, even if you put 100% work output, this is find out by the computers, So when the accreditation came, they evaluated, they found out certain race did not get the right race. They told them, if you want an accreditation this year for your institution, change it. So they changed it a little bit. They came back and checked. They said, this is not enough. Change it completely. So they changed it. So how blessing is artificial intelligence. We need this. I am all for it. Then another thing I'll let you know is self-driving cars. Please, it is not errorless. 4 weeks back, Elon Musk's self-driving car exploded. It burst into fire. Two people were there. One was sitting on the passenger seat. The owner was in the back, and they were doing their office works. Driver, the driver does not need it. The car was going and going, but somehow it ran into accident. Both the people and the car went to ashes. So Elon Musk is working on it. And Elon Musk has a big chain of truck production in our capital, where the state I am belong to. I am so glad he came to here because our governor gave him so much tax exemption. That's why he's here. He's going to produce battery drive trucks. We have already in the city, there is battery stations you can recharge. One more thing, do you know Mr. Elon Musk has 4 sons? They are in vitro. I don't know why he did like that. I think that's, in my thought, is based upon money. So there is no wife or somebody else, take his money. I don't know the idea, but he has 4 sons, all are in vitro births. And he's sending rockets to moon. And he's the only one person can send a reusable rocket. He done that and he proved it. He's doing so much experiment in our state, a place called Machu Picchu. That's a kind of, see. Okay, that's it. This is it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that contribution. Self-driven cars having accidents here and there sometimes. Of course, I mean, that's to be seen. For example, do you know that mobile phones, when mobile phones came, one of the fears that many people have been having, that mobile phones can burst. And of course, some mobile phones have bursted earlier. Sometimes earlier batteries or some reuse of batteries were not good. And some mobile phones bursted. And there have been pictures everywhere that a person's face completely demolished with the mobile phone blast. But that did not stop. If there was a problem like that, that will be resolved. And if there is a new technology coming and if there is a fault and there is a problem, that will be resolved. If what happened, one would understand that will be resolved and changed, and that will be modified. That's how things are changing. The auto-driven cars are going to be enormously useful. You know how much energy people are spending to drive, for example, from one place to the other, conveniently to go to one place to other. This time, somebody can sit, this is a good time to do something creatively, some work one can do. You can use your computer. I mean, that would change everything. And when that comes, interestingly, in Aalto University here in Finland, there's a set of research going on. I've been exposed to the youngsters who have been doing that research. That was in collaboration with the Ford company. What they have been doing was 1930 onwards, no car company is going to produce normal cars. There will be only auto-driven cars in Europe. That will be only produced. But the earlier produced cars will have still another 15 years of life. So the cars, for example, if I have a new car now, this car will go for another 15 years easily. So those people who buy cars in 2025 or 28, or what will do with that cars? Now, for example, diesel cars are being phased out. So people who have diesel cars, what they will do with these cars? These kind of questions are there. Now, one major question is when the transformation happens, for another 15 to 18 to 20 years, there are people who have cars which are driver-driven cars. And you have a lot of cars in the street which are auto-driven. How will they coexist? What will be the new traffic rules required for this transformation period? Can it make some problem? How this can be addressed? So this transforming time, how traffic signals can be developed for that? And how, for example, you can coexist with these both cars simultaneously. This is one set of research. Another set of research is when, many people, there are another major development that is coming is individual owned cars are going to be, it will disappear very soon because it's not needed anymore. That's already coming in many parts of Europe now, because you can just decide what car you want and you get a car. Next month you decide that you don't want this brand of car, you want another brand of car, another color. The car providing company will take away that car and bring this car, and you have to pay. Anyway, when you buy, you have to pay a higher purchase amount, and less than that only you will be paying. They will be owning the car, but you get the car at your place, at your disposal. So when these people are, they want to change things, they want to have new things without owning for a long time. So when these kind of things come, especially with the auto-driven cars coming, there will be a lot of free time in the cars. Taxis, for example, you order a taxi comes and it stands, you open and you enter there, you feed your destination and you sit there. And what will you do at that time? One of the interesting, how people think about trade, how to monetize this time, how you can make a monetizing thing in the car for the whole thing. For example, can you do your banking through the car? Is it possible? So, or can you make computer games in the car? Can you listen to a big screen performance? Can you see Netflix on the car? I mean, all these possibilities are being explored. And Ford has given the whole financing of the whole thing. And now they are working on two projects. One is this transit time cars and the new traffic regime that is required. And second thing is monetization of the time that people spend in the car. And that's how things are developing. So we are still thinking whether we need, highways or other things. We are still at that discussion at many places. So things are changing dramatically everywhere, and these changes will come to any country. In a developing country like India, where the Indian situation, whatever difficulties and whatever problems we have, and whatever present crisis that we have in India vis-a-vis the pandemic, which many countries have, but otherwise, India has a very big middle class with buying power, real buying power. And the size of the Indian middle class with buying power is larger than the American population. That's the size of the economy. So India is a huge market. And the number of people who are shifting from the poor class to the middle class with buying power is enormous. There are still people left behind. That's another thing that's to be addressed. But this shift is happening in India. Especially in the last 20 years, the shift has been a lot. There can be up and downs. There can be issues in between. But on the whole, if you take last 2 decades, there has been dramatic change in the shifting of people's buying power. This all shows that all these changes, all these artificial intelligence and everything would come to India. And the only question is whether you have the know-how about things or whether you don't have. Are you going to be illiterate? Are you going to be literate? And are you going to benefit this, or do you want to be kept out? You can be. You can have all the options. Even in developed countries, many people opt out all these kind of things and keep out. Well, that's possible. Thank you. And now, who would speak now? Pradeep Sukumaran, would you speak now?
I think from all the discussions that we have had, I have a feeling that we should not see artificial intelligence in isolation. We need to take it along with machine learning, deep learning, even genetic modification, gene editing, and things like that. And if you go by the predictions of people like Yuval Harari and many of them like that, the projections are very scary. I mean, that is again for the long run, probably. There was some mention about the car crash, about the artificially intelligence cars getting into accidents. And one theory is that it is because the cars are being forced to follow traffic rules meant for humans. That is one of the reasons why there are accidents. If you leave the cars to themselves, there will not be any accidents. You can ensure even 0 accident. That is the prediction. My question to you, what is the scope or what is the current rate of adoption of artificial intelligence in governance, especially in the advanced countries? And do you think there is a lack or a slowing down of adoption of AI in governance just to protect some vested interests? Because jobs, question of jobs, money flow, the existing financial system, so many vested interests seem to be involved, which I have a feeling that could be one of the reasons why artificial intelligence, which can be more usefully employed, is still lagging behind. What is your view about it?
Yeah, I do not know how, for example, nations, in general, the original strategy points they do, but officially, what I know externally is that in European Union, there is a general agreement that the next decade is going to be influenced by artificial intelligence, and therefore European Union had a program to develop artificial AI literacy in a very heavy way. And Finland was given the task to educate all those who desire, and it was Helsinki University which was doing that course. I've gone through that course. I've gone through the artificial intelligence course also. That is online, available to everybody. Anybody who wanted, any European citizen would get it free of cost at that time. And I think several millions of people have followed these courses, and every youngster is aware of artificial intelligence. The artificial intelligence awareness is what was promoted. This was last year. And why it was done? Because they are trying, the European Union generally is trying to technologically advance and get the people involved in the change and take up this new regime coming up. And making use of technology is the basic idea that most of the European countries are following, especially the Western European countries. The designing, many people think that production can be cheaper in other countries, for example, but the designing is done, or the modulations are made in, for example, Finland normally says that we are the world capital of designs. Design, what they mean is not design of architecture or anything, but design of software programs, designing huge projects, and designing how to handle waste management, all these kind of things. For example, another interesting area of artificial intelligence is waste management. I hope you know that, in many Scandinavian countries are segregating all the waste at the home level. For example, in my home, by law, I have to keep 3 garbage collection, four garbage points. One is for bio, one is for plastic, one is for general, and one is for cardboard and paper separately. And disposal at the garbage thing is also separate. Well, everything can be done automatically also. But this biomaterial is used for protection of uh, energy, and all the things that are recyclable are recycled. So conservation was taken very seriously, and how it is handled centrally. Artificial intelligence is used for that. The amount of, for example, metal gone out in circulation, and the amount of metal coming back, and where the other metal is trapped, the amount of plastic gone out, amount of plastic coming in, that's all monitored now. And the buying and selling of products with the metallic stuff and the plastic stuff, this all are controlled, and the kind of the entire waste is reused in different ways. And in Finland and Sweden, only 5% residue is there at the end of the day, the whole waste. And this 5% is used for landfill, because for landfill you are not allowed to cut rocks. You are preserving the rocks there. Instead, the landfilling, the garbage waste residue is used. So that's where it is handled, and artificial intelligence is even used for the garbage monitoring. So this has enormous possibilities. My feeling is that, my understanding is that European Union is not shying away or anything. The general understanding is that technology is the only way to take the lead. Every country or every group of countries try to be the best. They want to get the best, and they would like to give it to other people because they would like to be the leaders of things. The European Union tried to be the leader of the world in a way, but not like the US would do. They have a different approach by having the excellence of things is what European Union is thinking. And therefore, artificial intelligence literacy is seriously taken here in schools. In schools, artificial intelligence is a subject. Children are aware of artificial intelligence. They have programs connected with that. So therefore, I would say that at least in the European Union countries, artificial intelligence is taken seriously, and its children are educated with the whole idea. Good. Anyway, that's a good stream of thought. Thank you. Shreyas?
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, like basically whatever I wanted to say, Ravish has already mentioned that the job landscape will change with more and more advance in technology, especially in artificial intelligence. But like I would like to talk more about how the job landscape is going to change in the area of artificial intelligence, as I am a researcher in that field. First thing is in natural language understanding and processing. So we are nowhere close to what we humans can do in terms of artificial intelligence. Like whatever models that exist, like humans are much superior in, especially when it comes to natural language understanding and all that. Second thing is in healthcare. Well, right now, at least in UK and all that, I've heard that medical professionals, doctors and all, are getting literate or educated in the core machine learning or artificial intelligence that's involved. So a lot of interdisciplinary research and lot of things are actually relevant. And I think in terms of the job landscape, in research field, there is going to be more and more jobs. So I think it's very important, as you mentioned recently, that in European countries that in schools, artificial intelligence is a subject. That should happen in India also, and especially the main thing that is need to be made clear is that the fear of job, like fear of lack of employment, arises from conservatism. Like that's what I would like to say, because people don't like people who are doing a certain job are naturally afraid. Like if I don't have to do that job anymore, then what next? What can I do? So that it's more like a tradition for them, and they are scared that they lose that. So that is something that should come from the education system itself, that is need to be taught to young people, that you should be ready. Like the world is going to progress at a very fast pace, and then you should keep updated, and then uh, like get ready and look for new challenges. And of course, if you don't want to do that, it's fine, because as you said, like even without having a particular job per se, uh, basic necessities like food, clothing, entertainment, all these things will not be a problem.
Yeah, I fully agree with the positions that you're
Yeah.
taking. Also, I would feel that there will be new kind of jobs coming. For example, more and more people are on entertainment now. For example,
Yes, of course.
For example, the quality time that people spend on entertainment has increased a lot. I mean, many people are afraid that children are looking at the computer games. But why should be afraid? Computer games is a kind of new entertainment. It's a kind of new entertainment, and they are occupied with that. And that doesn't stop anybody to become an intelligent person. I can tell my own example. My son, when he was growing, I was so sensitive. Especially his mother was very sensitive, that he was all the time on computer games, and he was all these games. And will he study properly or not? That was our fear. And he completed his 10th standard with 100% marks in mathematics, and then decided not mathematics but political science as his subject. He was so brilliant that when he was in a master's program, he joined a television on in an internship, and he produced a program which got a national award, and he was absorbed. And then he completed, of course, his master's later. And his articulation with these computer games at his childhood, he always tell me, that has helped him to visualize things in a larger frame, which has helped him. Now he's the executive director of a big television channel in India. And that has actually helped him. So people should not be afraid about the new ways of entertainment that are coming. That I studied with my own lesson. And also, there is more and more. People have been going to cinema theaters earlier, but now people are having their entertainment at home. You have everything at your home, on your screen at home. People are entertaining more music. So these have to be produced, and enjoying different kind of food. The variety of food people eat now, the options, these all are growing. So there will be more and more jobs in different formats when people get more time. There will be more, there will be improvement in the quality of life. And all the same, getting people tuned to the new way is also difficult. I know some of my very close people who've been working in the Indian Telegraph Department. When he got a safe job in the Indian Telegraph Department, this guy, my uncle, was very, very happy. But later, the Telegraph Department got dismantled with the internet coming. So that doesn't mean anything. He would get into some other job. If he doesn't, there will be some kind of solution. There will be transformation in any society, and any kind of big changes. Now we are living in a wonderful period. Look, in our period, in last 50 years, what all changed in this world? What all dramatic changes we witnessed? And changing in such a period, that all these changes, what kind of changes that has happened in last 200 years and what happened in last 25 years, if you compare, this will be much more. And isn't it wonderful that it all happens in our time? Maybe next generation will be still happier. But things will roll on, things will move, and people will find ways to make it better with the new development. I don't think people will be set back, and everything will go in a different direction, because there'll be some kind of mechanism that works. That's how societies have improved all the time. Well, people can opt out, those who are afraid. Nobody is forcing anybody, but things have to change, and things will change.
Yes. And more in healthcare, actually. Like right now, we are in the middle of a pandemic, and in future there may be another pandemic, and so artificial intelligence, by the time we get to the next pandemic, will help help us study the virus or whatever pathogen that is there much faster. Like and develop a vaccine or whatever treatment, all that much faster. So that is where I think artificial intelligence would be uh, able to progress in
Yeah,
the
absolutely,
future.
absolutely. Another major development, for example, now we all can, now earlier when we have to have a communication like this, we should have a conference and people have to travel a lot. Now every week we can talk from all different parts of the world and communicate
Exactly.
important things. So communication, jobs have changed. People could work from their home now. So now the big real estates that was required for big offices to keep all these people sitting under one roof and working is no more required. I don't think after pandemic also that will go back to the old structure that people have to run to the office in the morning and work there. But more and more people will be using their homes to work. That's a big change. So every negative thing. So pandemic was a big blow to the human welfare, but it has changed something also. It has transformed something also. And humans, as a great survivor, we would find better ways and we would evolve better ideas from any crisis. That has been there all the time in history, and we will do it again. So that's Saptarshi Bhattacharya, please.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, hello.
Sir, I have like 3 points about this. Artificial intelligence, it has brought a lot of good things. Like I think technology has brought down corruption to a certain level, because previously even middle class people, when they used to go for income tax assessment, even poor people like us were also harassed. Now everything is automated, so you need not see the face of the assessing officer. So all those things have gone down. But the other part is we are talking about literacy of technology. But even in India right now, the normal literacy of reading and writing, it is only 74-75%. And in women, even it is less, like 65-66%. So the thing is, without literacy, how will they access all these high-tech things? Because on one hand, it is supposed to help them. I will give you my example. Like this, for corona vaccine in India, everyone has to get, there is an app and they have to get registered in that app. People on the first place, they are not literate and they don't know what is what, and they need the vaccine the most. So I have been seeing myself that they are facing a lot of. So I think this gap may get more. The line will get thicker between haves and have-nots. This is one issue. The second is about privacy and the right to forget. So previously people at their youth do a lot of things, and after some time people forget. But now you do something at the age of 16, somebody takes a picture and puts it in the internet, the whole life it will be there. Right now we are finding that even many politicians are being, they said something in their youth and now it is coming in the internet and they are being harassed. So which is actually totally unnecessary. People in their certain age, certain immaturity, they do something and later on they realize and go forward. But this thing, there is no proper way of forgetting what they did. And there is no way to forget also. And the third thing is security. Security, like one is illiterate people. The other thing is there are many people who are, get scammed, who get fished, means phishing is happening. People lose their money, and even big governments have lost money. Like I was reading somewhere, there was a big attack on Bangladesh's some bank and they siphoned off billions of rupees, which actually vanished somewhere. So going forward, what will be, because people, for a government, they may still come back to their feet. But personally, I have seen even in internet banking, when money is lost, the people, they lose all faith and they again go back to they want to go back to the traditional mode, but they cannot go back to traditional mode. So how will the whole ecosystem address all these things?
Yeah, that's the wonderful questions that you have asked. Very serious questions also. One is the literacy in our country. The literacy level is not very promising. Of course, from the past, it was much improved. So you can also, there's the scientific literacy in India. Even if we have 60-70% literacy, the scientific literacy, for example, is still lower. So one primary question is that we cannot wait for the whole population to be literate to face the requirements of transformation to the new age. So if you wait for them to come up and then do things, we'll be much behind in the old world. Then we won't be able to catch up. So we have to make a double strategy. One, to bring up these people who are left behind and get them back to the normal level. That's one effort. And inseparably, same time, we have to catch up with the new technology also. If we do not do, if we focus only on bringing up these people, then we will be left out from the new developments in the world, and we will be lag behind. Then we won't be able to handle the whole people also later. So it should be it's a clear strategy to address the two things simultaneously and equally. And second thing, will it produce more and more half notes and halves? I mean, see, any transformation have that risk, but that is why there should be social measures to handle that. For example, even now there is a kind of if you know about the technology know-how, have not. For example, those people who cannot use mobile phones, they're still there. Those people who cannot use computer, people who do not have computer. You said about the apps. So there should be a solution for those people who do not use a mobile phone, who do not have an application. And there should be another solution for that. If you are not techno-savvy, if you do not have a mobile phone, there should be a written form. Then still there is a problem. There are people who cannot read and write. So then still there is another problem that somebody should read it to them. So there should be solutions at every level. So we cannot wait for these solutions to be fulfilled to address the bigger problem. So there should be methods. We have to innovate methods to handle all these problems simultaneously. Then the right to forget is security. That's another interesting thing. Security we have discussed in length. I think you came a little late. Security is one major issue, and there'll be a lot of security issues are there if you want privacy. Your privacy can be at jeopardy if the information is there, but it will be less in jeopardy because it's not handled by individuals but by machines. And secondly, as Kunjama Joseph from USA has rightly said, one major problem that is going to be addressed is discrimination of any set of people by the race or caste or any other discrimination. USA, it's race, for example. The discrimination is identified, but that can be identified. If there is discrimination, that can be identified easily by the information disseminated so fast and so effectively. So it can fight discrimination. It can fight the problems of illiteracy. All these kind of things can be addressed only when you have all the informations available and disseminated so fast and the results are available at your disposal. Access to information is important, but also those people who don't want can opt it out. There is phishing of banking accounts. That doesn't mean that it should be stopped. Then we have to come back to the old stage that you have to go to the bank to get the information. Educate people when they use a bank on internet. That's the only way. Many people have sometimes lost money, but then banks are repeatedly educating people. There should be maybe in the schools itself, they have to be told, but still innovative ways to, to find some loopholes would always come. People have to have an alert mind. Any society, there could be some kind of exploitation happening. But another interesting point, which I always wanted to speak about, the right to forget. Somebody has gone for, as a student, he has gone to a bar and made some little quarrel and get into a little altercation. It was a case. Should it follow him all his life? The entire life should be damaged with that. So when informations are stored at a certain level, and it can reach you even at the time when you are looking for a promotion at the age of 45, this little altercation that you had in a little bar when you have been a student, when you have been 18 years, if that's there, he's a criminal. That kind of things can be there. So the right to forget is internationally recognized as an important right. For example, for every kind of activity that is termed as a crime, if one is accused or one is even punished, there should be a certain period that should be in records, and after that, it should not be, it should be removed so that the person is free from that. Person should be able to, the society should be able to forgive a person over the years about that. So that's the right to forget and forgive is part of a right which is recognized in many parts of the world, including Western world. So that's an interesting point. I mean, sometime we should speak about that also. So that's an important right. The scope of rights are growing. And over the years, our ideas about human freedom and human values and human rights are really, really growing. And these all are important, like technological advancements. Thank you for that contribution. And Ratish, would you speak now?
So my question was, I forgot. Okay. So one thing, sir, okay, you told about this thing, court issues, and artificial intelligence can take decision on a court issue. So don't you think there's a device which doesn't have a common sense? If it's taking a decision on a court issue, such sort of a thing, it's a device which just fed on with the data, and it doesn't have a common sense to understand, a human common sense to understand the feelings and empathy, which is taking a decision on a court issue, sort of a thing. And another question I would raise is a machine which have a common sense start making a device by its own. So it would be a threat to the whole human race. A machine is making a different machine with a common sense and intelligence. And next question is different, sir. It's about the government governance. So this is also government governance. Again, it's stopping all these technology rights. Like now the India new IT Act, they want to stop the end-to-end encryption for even for WhatsApp. They want all the data to be checked by a human, sort of a thing. So what is your opinion about all these things, sir?
Two things. Number one, I'm for privacy. I don't think governments have any rights to interfere into our privacy, provided if there is genuine doubts about security of the country. But these genuine doubts have to be established. Otherwise, no government should be able to interfere into my mail. Earlier, can't a government simply decide that they have a doubt and they can open any mail? No, they have no right. They don't have any right to hear my telephone calls. They don't have any right to see what I'm searching on the internet. No government has the right to do that. So these all kind of efforts to interfere into the privacy of people is something that is to be objected. But the justification that is given by the government is that there is a lot of threat to the government from the security side. But the solution should be only in those cases where you can establish a genuine doubt about the security issue. You should seek the permission of a court or an agency which is entrusted for that. And then without that, for example, you cannot interfere the mail of a person. Similarly, there should be a regulation for that, not blatantly opening up everything that people do not have a possibility to have their privacy. The values have changed, and I would not accept encroachment of human privacy at any case. Second thing, the empathetic position. That is one major question which I have mentioned also earlier, but I can a little more come on that. Empathy is one thing we cannot articulate to a machine. Is one of the major arguments that is brought against artificial intelligence. So you say, but on the other side, unempathetic behavior can be identified by artificial intelligence. For example, racial behavior in appointments or all these kind of things can be identified with the data analysis easily. So empathy, what is empathy? So you can generally understood empathy is, sitting in his shoes or her shoes and see how he is feeling. That is the primary explanation of empathy, isn't it? Understanding others' feeling from their point of view and having a feeling for that. So this is expressed maybe in 1,000 ways or 5,000 ways or 10,000 ways. At this moment, everything is not possible, but eventually the fundamental rules of empathy can be articulated, can be explained to a machine. And if new laws of empathy comes, that can be absorbed by the system. Theoretically, that's possible. Even human feelings, everything. How would one feel in a given situation, and what all articulates that feelings one can understand if provided we give that information. And you can get your own happiness and your own enjoyment, your own understanding, your own quality of enjoying music and everything can be enhanced, provided you provide all the information. So here the possibilities, I mean, it's not only, you know, there are 2-3 things coming up together. One is the nanotechnology, the advancement in biotechnology. I mean, a lot of different things are coming simultaneously, and all these things together. I would not say that it's not only artificial intelligence coming up. You know, nanotechnology is another thing, and also biochemistry. What kind of new advancement is coming in biochemistry? All these things together can have a lot of changes in the whole structure, the whole way of our living. Everything can be changed. So the whole thing is connected with our present understanding of empathy. Machines cannot be empathy. It's not a machine instead. But empathy, the rules of empathy can be defined in 1,000 or 1,000,000 ways, or 1,000,000 fine details can be, I mean, understood, and that can be fed to an artificial intelligence program. That's possible. Technically, theoretically, it's possible. That's answered by many experts of artificial intelligence. But that's not necessary now. You know, you can still have human interference into many things. If there is if I am at the receiving end of a system that is operated by artificial intelligence, if I feel that there is discrimination or injustice to me, there should be a solution where real humans are involved, because all these things are to be under human guidance and control. Therefore, we can leave these machines, we can encourage these machines with more and more information to make it more and more perfect, but still there can be imperfections and still there can be problems. There can be then human interference to judge it, take decisions above the machine, and then correct it. And this new correction can be added to the new program of artificial intelligence, and that's how it should grow. At the end of the day, the humane interference and empathetic interference can be there, provided there is anything that is not acceptable is happening. It's possible. Even law, for example, primary things, for example, when you are drinking and driving, how will you find it? A machine will find law and you get it, information, isn't it? It's clinical. But the only thing is that where it is recorded, the police officer can take a little bribe and let you go. That's the difference. When it is handled by information, the moment you blow and this information is collected, if that information is collected from which person, at which locality, at what moment, and everything is recorded, and it's immediately, I mean, the bill for his driving, the bad driving bill goes to the system. I mean, there is no escape out of it. Well, still, if it is wrong, if it is mistake, he can appeal to a human. If, for example, primary level, everything, I mean, legal system can be controlled by artificial intelligence, but an appeal body, an appellate body can be pure human sitting and correcting it. So you look at the number of cases in India, millions of cases in our courts. If these all are handled by the fine details, simply checked and corrected and all, and if there are wrong decisions coming, if there is possibility of free appealing, things can be improved. That's the way to handle the big crisis that we have. I'm not saying that we should leave everything to machines. There should be human control above it, and we should be able to correct and improve. Thank you. Good thoughts, right thoughts. I think this was such a long session and very interesting. I'm very, very excited about the kind of response that I got also. I mean, and thank you very much for this very, very interesting discussion that you all contributed to. And we stop now.